And number two,
What do you think happened on 9/11?
what I know happened on 9/11 was we could have prevented it. And number two, what happened, I work very closely with the architects and engineers. You've had them on.
Yes.
I work closely with the families of 9/11. I work closely with the firefighters. The most poignant story, you ought to show it on a tape, is when Deputy Chief Oriole Palmer, one of the most decorated firefighters in the city, takes his unit to the first building. He gets in an elevator. He's got all his equipment on, 40 pounds of gear with his team. They go up 40 floors in an elevator while the planes have already hit. He gets off the elevator and you hear him say in the microphone, "We're on the 40th floor. Everything's okay. We're going to walk up." He gets on the 50th floor. "It's okay. We're going up higher." He gets on the 60th floor. "It's okay. We're going up." The Oriole Palmer, battalion chief, reaches the 78th floor. The floor of impact comes out of the stairwell, and you hear him say as clear as day, "We're here, the floor of impact. We've got 2 fires, and we can handle it." And the building collapses within 1 minute.
Get out of here.
No, that's true.
Let's talk about Building 7 first. Building 7 not hit by any airplane. And if you watch the videos here, we'll show them here on the screen. Eric, you sent me over, of course, these detailed videos here. What are we seeing here when we're watching Building 7 go down?
Well, first of all, you're seeing a building that is collapsing almost 7 hours after Tower 1 and 2, all right? From the NIST report, the ignition source, what started the fires, they claim, is from the debris that fell on it from Tower 1. And now you have these series of fires. And the culmination of a fire that's been burning for 6 hours, which that doesn't quite make sense either, is you have the total symmetrical free fall collapse into its own footprint. And that has never happened before in any type 1 fire resistant building. That's the classification for high-rise buildings per the International Fire Code.
In other words, that part of the building would have been compartmentalized. It would have been dealt with. It would have not spread to the rest.
Well, it would have spread, but structural steel is coated with fire protection. And so it is compartmentalized by floor, but they're designed to outlast the burn time of any of the fuels.
They're fire resistant, so they can go for hours and they will burn themselves out before anything weakens.
Have you ever seen, Eric, in all of your long history as a veteran firefighter, ever seen a building collapse?
No.
That type of
Yeah, not due to fire. What's interesting is we both were on the Kingdome. They're in Seattle. We both work for Seattle Fire. They brought down several buildings. We got to watch controlled demolitions over several of them in my career, and we were on the Kingdome together. So we've watched that happen. It's the only time it ever looks like that. There's never been anything close.
And so as with the videos we're seeing here at Building 7, it's coming down symmetrically. It's coming down straight. So in order for that to happen, as Richard Gage had pointed out and others, that you would have to place controlled demolition on each of them.
And they not only have to place them, they have to go off within fractions of a second. So with less than 1 second, they all have to do the same thing. Otherwise, it's going to tip. So if you blow out one side of the building, it's going to fall over. So the Kingdome, what's interesting is they actually messed that up a little bit. And there's a guy that was part of that team that's talked. He's in 9/11 Experts Speak Out because he was part of that demolition team. And they had a problem. They weren't able to shatter the entire roof structure at the same time. So when that came down, it was a plunger effect. So what they wanted, those who know the Kingdome, it had this dome. They wanted it to come down at exactly the same time, fracture the whole thing, but it didn't. So when it came down, it created a plunger and it threw debris where we were. I was on the, what would it be, the west or the east side of it. And we had to duck actually, because it was like debris was coming and from that thing. And that was Chief, I think Sewell was there, and he ended up having to dive under a fire truck and everything else. But I didn't know that was a mistake until later. And that's the guy who helped me see. He's like, we messed up. And it wasn't a mess up. He said our equipment didn't ignite it exactly. It didn't go off at the same time. So what I'm saying is you're talking less than 1 second. It's all got to be failed at the same time.
So in other words, Building 7 was a perfect demolition.
Absolutely perfect. It's the best it's ever been.
But before we say that, the University of Alaska report Fairbanks does not mention demolition. What they say is there's no way we step back. NIST is claiming in their report that this was a direct result of office fires, a new phenomenon. And they're introducing this in 2008. And this is a new phenomenon. Oh my gosh. That right there should be enough to say we need to start. But what they said was that they put all the inputs from this into their computer models. And the Alaska models kept tipping So the input information was incorrect. So they concluded that the only way in their modeling that they can get this building to come symmetrically straight down in free fall for a period of time is to remove all the supporting structures, columns, which are rated for 3 hours. That means they can endure fire for 3 hours in high-rise buildings. You would have to remove all the columns on a horizontal plane simultaneous for that to happen. Now, they don't say demolition in the report, but they're saying, how can this happen? But it didn't happen because of fire. So what's the only way that you can remove all the columns on a horizontal plane?
Is there a way? Demolition. Because they won't say demolition.
Like Leroy,
They're saying it now.
he's now saying it. He's been afraid to say it.
There's a lot of fear, and it's remarkable to me in 2025 that we can have this conversation, because 15 years ago, you would have been called a conspiracy nut. You would have been a 9/11 truther. How dare you? I think that term has vanished. Personally, I don't see it being talked about anymore. I think there's enough younger generation. We were talking before the show, the younger firefighters who are now in New York City. What do they think happened?
They totally don't believe the official narrative. They know that something's not right here, that they're being lied to by the officials. Most of them recognize that, at least for 7, that it's a demolition. Can I say one more thing on buildings?
Yeah. Well, we're not done with building